What's going on, Jeff? Remember me, the fired Amazon worker that you signed off on the smear campaign? Now you're going to have the Met Gala where you're going to be surrounded by all these elites and billionaires and A-listers when you have poverty right outside on the street.
Such a fun and meaningful experience. And when Anna called me and said, do you want to co-chair and also be the sponsors of the Met, I was so honored.
Bible told you to walk out, to look out for billionaires, didn't they?
Yep. Sure did.
Didn't they say it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than a rich man to see the kingdom of heaven? Do you know why? Because biblically they know what the horrible things you got.
Did y'all ever really sit back and notice how some of the biggest black icons in Hollywood, like Denzel Washington and Samuel L. Jackson, somehow never end up walking into the Met Gala? Not even once. And hold up, that kind of silence feels way too deliberate to just be a coincidence. The wildest part is you'll probably never hear either of them publicly explain the real reason behind it. In Hollywood, listen to this. One wrong comment can have people shutting doors on you faster than most fans realize. But DL comes across like somebody who no longer cares about staying comfortable inside those elite celebrity circles. Without even directly mentioning the Met Gala, he basically pulled the curtain back on how that whole system really operates behind closed doors. A lot of black men in entertainment already understood the energy, but DL became one of the few willing to publicly say what others usually only whisper in private. So what exactly was he trying to reveal? Hughley called out billionaires like Jeff Bezos, saying people will casually blow $50 million on extravagant weddings while everyday workers are still struggling for proper support, opportunities, and decent education. And according to DL Girl, you can't constantly preach equality, civil rights, and fairness while standing side by side with billionaires critics believe are disconnected from the realities regular people deal with every day.
Go to space and pay people fair rate. They would rather have a $50 million wedding than to make sure that they're employed, than to make sure that people can read. They would rather sue the IRS for $10 billion to make sure people have free lunches.
Yeah.
Evil is as evil does. So what is about those people? When those people align themselves with you, it is transactional. It's for what?
Now hold up. This is the part where all the pieces really start lining up in a big way. The same year Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez were revealed as honorary chairs for the Met Gala, protests were already erupting across the streets of New York City. People were heated, saying billionaires like Bezos should not be controlling this much influence over major cultural spaces, especially events critics believe cash in heavily off black culture and black creativity. Meanwhile, everyday communities are still out here struggling just to get basic opportunities, resources, and support. And that's the contradiction a lot of folks say nobody wants to openly talk about.
Culture comes from the creatives and the designers who keep this place vibrant. It comes from the hands that stitch the garments. It comes from the workers who move the packages, from the caregivers who hold communities together, from the people who make every little thing run. And that's why we're here, because labor is art.
Even the theme for this year's Met Gala had people side-eyeing the whole situation. But listen to this, mainstream media barely wanted to dig into the conversation. The official dress code was labeled fashion is art, and at first glance it sounded pretty harmless and polished. But once people started reading deeper into the Metropolitan Museum of Art announcement, they noticed it specifically highlighted a major focus on the broad tradition of Western art. That wording immediately had folks online paying close attention. A lot of critics tied that language to the fascination wealthy elites seem to have with Roman and Greek imagery, power structures, and old-school status symbolism. And when you start looking at public figures like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, people say that obsession pops up constantly through their branding, messaging, and larger-than-life public personas. Just think about that moment when Musk switched his bio to Imperator of Mars, a title pulled straight out of ancient empire-style culture. That one detail alone, girl, had social media absolutely losing its mind.
In the right hands, the theme of fashion and art and how those two things got separated in the first place could be fascinating. But I am deeply troubled by the fact that their website says that they are literally going to be focusing primarily on Western art. It looks like we're going really heavy on the Greek and Roman themes, specifically the version of those themes that's highly fetishized by white supremacists and billionaires. As predicted, under the Trump administration, museums are making more and more conservative choices and showing things that really are uncritical celebrations of whiteness. Not Europeanness, mind you. Whiteness at the expense of everything else.
And once you start asking the bigger questions about who really controls the Met Gala, who decides which black celebrities get that invite, what they're supposed to wear, and what people have to do to stay accepted in those elite circles, you begin understanding why some black men want absolutely nothing to do with that world. So now let's really talk about who's pulling the strings, because listen to this. This is where the conversation starts making a lot of people uncomfortable. Anna Wintour, known for the signature bob haircut and those dark sunglasses she almost never takes off, has basically been the face behind the Met Gala for decades. Her influence across fashion, celebrity culture, and elite media spaces is enormous, and critics have long questioned how much power one person should really have over an event this influential. What made the conversation even louder was the fact that major publications have openly criticized the event in some very sharp ways. The National Review once argued that the Met Gala reflects deep social and racial divisions, claiming celebrities are carefully managed and controlled throughout the entire event. The article compared the atmosphere to an old-school elite showcase, where public image, social status, and appearances matter way more than individuality or authenticity. That comparison, girl, sparked major backlash online almost immediately. Critics also argue that many celebrities are expected to follow strict fashion rules, pose exactly how they're told, and represent luxury brands or designers selected by powerful people operating behind the scenes. Meanwhile, the event continues generating millions of dollars for the Metropolitan Museum of Art, while some people still question how much direct support actually reaches black communities or independent black creatives. And that's exactly why the debate keeps getting louder every single year. You've got an overwhelmingly ultra-rich audience watching black celebrities walk one of the biggest red carpets on the planet, often dressed by massive luxury fashion houses instead of independent black designers. All while billionaires like Jeff Bezos remain connected to the event at the highest levels of influence. Now, here's why this topic hits differently for a lot of black men watching from the outside. Every year, the Met Gala introduces a new theme. And one year, the spotlight centered around black dandyism, sharp tailoring, polished fashion, and timeless black style. On the surface, it sounded like a respectful celebration of culture and history. But once people really started digging into the deeper background behind it, the reaction became a whole lot more complicated. Black dandyism traces back to the Harlem Renaissance, during a time when black men were dealing with heavy discrimination and being denied basic human rights. Wearing elegant suits and presenting themselves with pride was never just about looking fashionable. It became a statement of dignity, confidence, discipline, and self-respect in a society that constantly tried to deny their humanity. That's what gave the style its real cultural weight and deeper meaning. Fast forward to the Met Gala, and critics started asking whether that history was truly being respected or simply repackaged into high-fashion entertainment for wealthy audiences. Some people argued that a style born out of resistance, survival, and pride was now being transformed into a high-fashion performance where celebrities were expected to entertain cameras and elite guests. Others also pointed out that certain attendees were encouraged to blur traditional fashion boundaries and experiment with more masculine-inspired looks, which triggered even more online debate about whether the event genuinely respected the original meaning behind black dandyism or simply used it as another trend to generate attention and headlines.
Please have a serious conversation about how black women was styled at this year's Met Gala. Because while a dress code might have been menswear, the overall theme was dandyism. And we saw a lot, so let's digest this. Now, dandyism has always been about rebellion, challenging societal norms, and self-expression. But here's the thing. Black women has never been fully allowed to even exist in that narrative.
Now hold up, this is where the conversation starts getting way heavier and people online stopped looking at it like just another fashion world argument. Critics began bringing up real moments from past Met Galas that sparked backlash far beyond outfits, celebrity gossip, or red carpet drama. One article criticizing Anna Wintour's influence pointed directly at controversial moments involving some of the event's biggest stars. People specifically brought up Halle Berry's revealing Met Gala outfit, while others reacted strongly after Lisa appeared wearing a design connected to imagery tied to Rosa Parks. Social media instantly exploded with questions about how creative decisions like that even made it through approval in the first place. A lot of people felt those moments crossed a serious line, especially when cultural figures connected to Black history became part of fashion statements many viewers considered disrespectful or badly executed. Critics also started questioning whether celebrities truly have full control over their image at events this powerful, or if pressure from designers, luxury brands, stylists, and industry expectations plays a much bigger role than fans realize. And listen to this. That's where the real conversation about power begins. In Hollywood and high fashion, people believe reputation is everything. If somebody gets labeled difficult, it can impact invitations, magazine covers, endorsement deals, movie roles, and future opportunities behind the scenes. That kind of pressure creates an environment where celebrities may feel pushed into going along with ideas they normally would never choose on their own. The entertainment industry and the fashion world are deeply connected, and Anna Wintour has remained one of the most influential figures inside that space for decades. Because of that, critics often describe the Met Gala as way more than just a glamorous celebrity event. They see it as a place where image, social status, influence, and power industry all get tested under one giant spotlight.
You don't care how people feel about the ritual. It's about does following the ritual work.
Yeah.
And so you can fool yourself into thinking there isn't one, but the evidence will be clear.
Now think about how all of this specifically impacts Black men working in entertainment. A lot of critics say they're expected to show up, dress a certain way, smile for cameras, and avoid saying anything that might make powerful people uncomfortable. And the second a Black man speaks too directly or even looks frustrated, people online are quick to label him angry, difficult, or hard to work with. That kind of pressure alone is exactly why some celebrities choose to keep their distance from certain industry spaces. And listen to this, that's why a lot of people started paying attention to who doesn't show up at the Met Gala. Denzel Washington, Samuel L. Jackson, Terrence Howard, Morgan Freeman, Forrest Whitaker. These are legendary, award-winning actors with careers that already speak for themselves without needing validation from celebrity fashion culture. Yet fans have noticed that many respected Black male stars either rarely attend events like the Met Gala or avoid that spotlight altogether. Now, to be fair, some of them may have received invitations before, while others may simply prefer privacy or just not care about celebrity fashion culture in general. But even with that being said, the pattern has still sparked a huge amount of conversation online. Some fans believe certain Black entertainers intentionally avoid environments where image, networking, and industry politics matter more than authenticity. At the same time, very few celebrities openly criticize events like the Met Gala directly. In Hollywood, hold up, public statements can trigger backlash fast, especially when powerful media and fashion figures are involved. So instead of making dramatic announcements, some stars simply stay quiet, keep their distance, and focus on their careers without stepping into that world at all. Some critics online have even gone as far as comparing the Met Gala to a modern-day performance space where wealthy elites profit from Black culture while still keeping most of the power and influence for themselves. That comparison makes a lot of people uncomfortable, but it's become one of the biggest talking points in conversations about celebrity culture and high fashion. Whenever these discussions come up, people quickly respond with comments like, "It's just a party," or "Y'all are reading too deep into it." But critics argue the issue goes far beyond fashion, because the real conversation is about who controls the event, who profits from the attention, and whose culture gets spotlighted without long-term investment back into the communities connected to it. That's exactly why Jeff Bezos keeps getting pulled into the discussion. People point to Amazon's long history of criticism surrounding worker conditions and union disputes, while also questioning why billionaires tied to those controversies continue being celebrated at major cultural events centered around creativity, identity, and influence. To critics, that contrast feels impossible to ignore, and that connects directly to D.L. Hughley's larger point. According to him, some powerful figures love the image, energy, and influence that Black culture brings, but critics still question whether that appreciation ever turns into meaningful support for Black communities behind the scenes. They want the headlines, the viral photos, and the cultural credibility that comes from attaching famous Black celebrities to these major events. Meanwhile, critics argue the real power structure almost never changes. The same wealthy names stay connected to the biggest events, the same exclusive circles continue controlling influence, and celebrities keep walking the same red carpets year after year while audiences are told it represents progress. That's the exact system D.L. Hughley was calling attention to. And girl, his comments definitely got people talking.
I think all billionaires are evil. I think most are. I do. I don't think most white men are, all white men are racist. I think most are. And I don't think all men are toxic. I think most are, because I can tell you, you should judge them by their fruit. All the things that are happening that are racist and evil, who's on that Epstein list? Billionaires. Who's protecting them? Billionaires. Why do we not have money for social services? Billionaires. 300, almost a million people are dead right now because they cut off the funding for USAID.
And look, a lot of critics argue the Met Gala is not some hidden conspiracy operating in the dark behind closed doors. Everything plays out right in front of the public, and that's what makes the conversation so interesting to people. Folks see a powerful fashion event led by major industry figures like Anna Wintour, with billionaires such as Jeff Bezos connected to it through sponsorships, influence, and massive celebrity appearances. At the exact same time, Black celebrities often become the center of attention, bringing the culture, style, creativity, and energy that help keep the event globally relevant year after year. But critics keep circling back to the same question every single time. Who really benefits once the cameras stop rolling and the headlines fade away? Some people believe many successful Black men in Hollywood quietly stepped away from that scene because they no longer wanted to participate in an environment they viewed as overly controlled, political, or disconnected from real community support. And listen to this, maybe that's exactly why certain legendary names are almost never spotted on that carpet in the first place. Instead of only focusing on who gets invited, a lot of people are now paying attention to who deliberately chooses not to show up at all, and what that decision could possibly reveal about the industry operating behind the scenes. Now, I want to hear what y'all think. Why do you believe stars like Denzel Washington rarely appear at events like the Met Gala? And do you agree with D.L. Hughley's criticism surrounding billionaires and celebrity culture? Drop your opinion down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with somebody who needs to hear this conversation, because trust me, the next breakdown is going even deeper.